At first, I was not looking forward to observing critters for 8 weeks. I wrestled a lot to buy the mealworms, but eventually I bought them. I got the container that was 50. I did not want to come near them or touch them or open the container. The moment I saw movement in the container, I set it aside and did not come near them until the following day. The following day, I removed the critters from its smaller container into 2 separate containers. The 10 that I was to observe and the other 40, I set them in another container. I did not feed the mealworms until 2 days after I had bought them. I started feeding them carrot slices, apple slices, lettuce, and celery sticks. But I noticed that they wouldn't eat much of that. So I decided to add some oatmeal. And I started noticing that they prefer the oatmeal more than the other foods that I would place in the container. I would see oatmeal diminish every time I will check on them, and that is when I started to think on my first experiment. So my research question was, if I change the food type, will they still prefer the oatmeal? And my control variable, I will feed them in the afternoon in the laundry room with just a bit of sunlight coming through the window. And the foods that I used was blueberries, carrots, and apples. I would check on them every other day. I first started with 18 grams of oatmeal, and then a day after that I checked, it diminished to 15 grams, and then the day after that the oatmeal diminished to 12 grams. And the carrots, the blueberries, and the apple slice didn't diminish as the oatmeal did. So in conclusion, many of the mealworms prefer to eat the oatmeal. Only a few will eat from the food that was placed. The rest stayed around the oatmeal area. Two weeks after, before we had to begin the second experiment, my mealworms were starting to turn into pupas. They were just sleeping, getting ready to turn into that stage. So I was not able to create my other experiment that I wanted to over if they preferred wet or dry area. So I was not able to do that because they wouldn't move. I eventually thought they were dead, but no, because I moved them and they will move just a bit, so I couldn't do much with them. It took a while for them to turn into beetles. It took probably more than a week, probably I say a month. And they eventually started hatching, and I noticed that they were hatching out white, and then they started turning brown. After they hatched first white, then brown, and then eventually they turned black, their original color. And I kept feeding them, and they still preferred the oatmeal. They do prefer the carrots though. They do like the carrots, but still the oatmeal is where they still are around that area. They don't come near the food. At the end of this assignment, my thoughts over it changed as I saw the cycle of the critters. Um, I wasn't as grossed as I was before, but I saw how critters even have some teamwork, because one of the critters turned out to have a disability. It was defective. All his legs did not evolve how it was supposed to evolve. It lost 4 of its legs, and it only has 2 legs, one in the front and one in the back. I noticed something was different when it hatched, but I see how it has community with the other critters that help it move around. I see how it gets on top of other critters to move around. So that is something that I would not expect to see from observing critters.